Hello, everyone. Hello. Can you hear me all right? Can you hear me? Yeah, great. Welcome, everyone, to our pitch night. My name is Mathilde, and I'm your host tonight. So I'm happy to welcome everyone here for this evening. Tonight is our food, beverage, and agri-tech pitch night at the Startup Club. And I will share my contact details in the chat in a minute, and you can do the same if you want to network with the other participants. And I will also be sharing the schedule and link to the pitch decks to the 4 startups that we will discover this evening. And if you want to use the general chat, or you can ask some questions in the general chat, or you can use the private messaging to the presenters if you have some extra questions to ask. Yes, so let's, we'll introduce you shortly to the Startup Club. The Startup Club is the one-stop shop for the global entrepreneur community. And our vision is to assist businesses in their funding rounds and growth by connecting entrepreneurs with investors, advisors, mentors in the startup ecosystem globally through a series of pitch nights and investor networking conferences. Currently, we have pitch events in many different topics, such as EdTech, Health Tech, Green Tech, Fashion, Beauty and Luxury, and newly added, we have now also AI conference. And I will also be sharing links to register for free passes to these events in the chat in a minute. Yes, so welcome everyone once again. Tonight we will have 4 companies within food, beverage, and agriculture. Very happy to have you all with us. So I will just tell you a bit more about each presenter. So pitch number 1 is Cadello. It's a unique new spirit made of 8 ingredients from Italy and the Orient. And it will be presented by Matt Dunn. The second pitch is TURNIPP.com. It's a revolutionizing ethical dining, connecting a growing base of conscious diners with sustainable restaurants, presented by Juan Pablo Cerda. Third pitch, it's called La Leyenda. La Leyenda Mezcal is a single estate luxury sipping mezcal born from family-owned 800 acres of agave, and it is presented by Alejandro Sanchez. Pitch number 4 is Flybox, and Flybox is solving food waste profitably with insect waste management technology, and it's presented by Larry Koch. So the event should end at around 7:15 CET, and so it should run for about 1 hour 15. So the format of the event is each presenter has 15 minutes in total to pitch and also to receive the feedback. So the presenters have been instructed to pitch for 7 minutes maximum, and the rest of the time, 8 minutes, should be the feedback and questions from the advisors. And if the presenters are going over the 7 minutes, then they just have to know that the feedback will be shorter. But there will be a timer after 7 minutes and a second beep after 15 minutes. So everyone knows that second beep means we are moving to the next presenter. So tonight we have 5 advisors who will give feedback to the presenters. So we're happy to welcome here 5 of our presenters: Artem, Jaap, Andréa, Vincent, and Lena Marie. So now I will kindly ask for the board members to introduce themselves, a few sentences to the audience. So let's start with Artem Galchenko from Triodos Food Transition Europe Fund.
Yeah, hi everyone. Everyone hears me?
Yes, perfect. Hi, welcome.
My name is Artem. I'm an investor currently at Triodos Food Fund. For the past 10 years, been investing in food and agriculture businesses in different stages, early stage startups and more mature buyout companies. So very curious about the pitches.
Thank you very much, Artem, for the introduction. Let's hear from Jaap Zijlstra from Navus Ventures.
Yes. Hi, nice to be here. Jaap Zijlstra, Navus Ventures. We are a family office slash venture capital investing in the sustainable transition in food and energy. The family has a background in ag machinery and robotics, and we invest in all kinds of European technology startups in these fields. So looking forward to the pitches.
Thank you very much, Jaap. And let's go ask Andréa for an introduction.
Hi,
Andréa from Grey Silo Ventures.
thanks for having me. Grey Silo Ventures is the corporate VC arm of Triodos, which is the largest agribusiness in Italy. And as such, we invest in B2B solutions in ag tech and food tech, especially in the food systems and new food systems. Happy to be here and excited to hear the pitches.
Thank you very much for the intro. And now let's move to Vincent from Gota Ventures.
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Vincent. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm the founder of Gota Ventures, an international investment syndicate that invests on a deal-by-deal basis in early-stage food tech startups. We have a global investor base, 36 investors from 10 different countries. And we have direct access to food manufacturers and retailers in Europe through the network that we have. And we usually invest between 100K in euros and 300K. I'm very excited to hear all your stories.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Vincent. And our fifth advisor tonight is Lena Marie from Vorwerk Ventures.
Yes, thank you. Happy to be here. Quick intro from my side. I'm Lena. I don't have a typical VC business background, I would say. I have a background in molecular biotechnology as well as nutritional sciences. I used to work in a startup incubator supporting food, agro, and biotech startups until I now moved on more to the investment side of things with Vorwerk Ventures. We are based in Berlin with Vorwerk Ventures. We used to be the CVC arm of the German company Vorwerk, but most important part here of the story is we are not a CVC anymore, so we are completely independent fund since 2018, and we have 3 buckets where we invest in, which are food tech, healthcare, and business efficiency. We usually invest between 1 and 5 million, pre-seed to Series A, and we usually are the lead investor. So super curious to hear the pitches and also very happy to connect afterwards.
Thank you, Lena. Thank you for everyone for the introductions. All right, so now without further delay, I would like to give the word to the first pitch, which is Cadello with Matt Dunn. So hi, Matt, and welcome. Whenever you're ready, you can share your screen and you can start the presentation.
Do you have the presentation available to share? Because I'm unfortunately not in a position to share.
Okay, let me check. Second. Okay, no. Can you see? Oh.
No. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, we can see it now. If you could go to slide 2.
Yeah, this one.
Great. So yeah, so just give you all, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. And thank you for the organizers for setting this up. Little bit of background from myself. I started as an investment banker in New York in the mid-90s. I then moved, like yourselves, into an investment capacity. I was working as an investment director, investing money in London on behalf of a very wealthy Italian family. I did that for a number of years, buying companies, selling companies, investing businesses, and in some cases, starting businesses from scratch. I did that alongside a business partner. And at some point, we realized we were doing all these things and creating wealth for a very, very wealthy family. We could and should be doing this for ourselves. And so in the early 2000s, we actually came or set upon the idea of creating a new spirit. And, you know, to date myself, this is back when tequila was Jose Cuervo, vodka was Absolut and Smirnoff. We had 6 gins and 7 rums. You know, all the traditional categories of spirits were the old traditional brands. In the subsequent 15 years, or I would say in the last 15 years, every traditional category of spirit has been reinvigorated with wonderful new offerings. You know, just incredible waves of innovation, new brands, new flavor combinations, just, you know, from a consumer perspective, wonderful development. For us, the sort of downside of that is the innovation has gone too far. And so given that we set upon this idea of creating a new spirit in the early 2000s, when it came to actually, you know, following through and doing this, which we started, I would say about 8 years ago, we started putting this plan together. We realized that what the market needs, what consumers need, what hospitality needs, the on-trade sector needs is genuine innovation. And so what we've done with Cadello is try to create something more than just a spirit. What we're really doing is creating a brand. We're creating this Cadello world that is black and white, La Dolce Vita style in a modern context, expressed in a beautiful, luxurious way. And so we've created the brand Cadello. We've introduced that to the market. We sell it all over Italy. We sell it all over the UK. We're introducing, I would say, a whiskey version of Cadello in the early 2026, which we will actually bring to Shanghai, because my business partner spent 13 years running a business called SIG, which is the second largest global manufacturer of packaging solutions behind Tetra Pak. He has wonderful connections in China, all over Asia. We have a wonderful group of people on the ground who are waiting to help us launch this into China. And so, yeah, where we're really at is we are in the process of executing our business plan in Italy, in the UK, and starting in Shanghai next year. We have amazing traction. The product is sold all over Italy. It's sold all over the UK. It's produced in Italy by a 170-year-old family-owned distillery called Distilleria Pisoni. We've actually done a fundraising in the spring. We raised 750,000 pounds at a 4 million pound valuation. We don't actually need capital, but I was approached by Oliver and his team to present. You know, my business partner, in my view, is that we'd rather have a smaller piece of a bigger pie rather than worrying about marginal economics. So if there is capital investment, investors, shareholders that are looking to join our journey, we are more than welcome to have those conversations. The business plan is essentially de-risked for the next, I would say, at least 3 years. We actually set out to raise 600,000 pounds, raised 750,000 pounds. So we raised more than we actually need. I would say all of our costs in terms of marketing campaigns across Italy, across the UK, including developing and launching the new product, are accounted for. But again, we're more than happy to have conversations with people who are interested. I noticed that, you know, a number, if not all of you, are more focused on food tech, this is obviously not food tech. It's not, yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. This is not a sustainable focused business. It's not that we're not economically focused. It's just we are a liquor brand. You know, we are a brand. We are a luxury premium liquor brand. We are trying to build something that is really special. I would say more in line with an LVMH concept, where we're building a brand that in the future can be used in different ways. We want to try to launch something called Bar Cadello, as well as potentially going into creating physical spaces where we can host events that really embody this concept that we've created. Because, just to take a half a step back, the whole premise of Cadello, the oranges of the brand, is based on the question, what would wealthy Venetian merchants in the 18th century have served at their lavish mass balls? So for those of you who are not familiar with the Venetian Empire, it lasted about 1,000 years. During that period of time, they had a near monopoly on trade with Asia. They built, massive fortunes. And during Carnivale, they had these beautiful mask balls in their grand palaces. And so the core and the crux of Venetian cuisine is taking ingredients from Asia, as well as combining them with, flavors and ingredients that are local to Venice, particularly in the Venetian lagoon. But there is no alcohol that captures that concept. And our view is, at some point in the 1,000-year history of Venice, someone would have created either a cocktail or a spirit, something to serve at these mass balls, that used a combination of ingredients from Asia as well as flavors found in Italy to serve at their mass balls. And so that is the essence, that question, what spirit would these wealthy Venetian merchants have served at their mass balls, is the foundation of everything we're doing in building not just the spirit of Cadello, but the brand of the world. It informs the ingredients we use, the color schemes of the brand, the world that we're creating. We partnered with I wouldn't say completely local distillery, but a distillery that's based in Northeast Italy, close enough. And so that's where we are. There's so much more I could say about the business, and I hope that the organizers can share with you our deck. I realize that I've probably gone over time, so I will turn it over to questions if anyone has any questions.
Yes, thank you, Matt.
Sure.
Let's begin with Artem, for example.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt. I really like the analogy with Venetian merchants drinking Cadello. Really resonates. I'm actually wondering, in a premium liquor segment, what kind of long-term trends are you chasing? Is it about drinking better or innovative drinks?
Yeah, it's a very, very good question. So in one of the pages in our deck, you'll see that there is a great business, a new spirit that was created called Italicus. It was launched in 2016. Pernod Ricard actually bought 50% of it 3.5 years later, right before COVID, or as COVID was kicking off. They paid a total value of 60 million pounds. So they paid 30 million pounds for 50% of the business, even though it was only 3.5 years old. The reason I bring that up is because within the context of the markets that we're focused on, which initially is UK, Italy, and China, we need very, very, very small pieces of each market in order to actually achieve our valuation goals, which we are very clear where we're trying to head to. We've picked the UK, Italy, and China for very specific reasons, which I'm happy to go into, offline if people want to discuss that further. But the idea, to your point, is if we can sell 50 to 60,000 bottles of Cadello in the UK, 100,000 bottles of Cadello in Italy in the next 5 years, these are 5-year numbers, and 80,000 bottles a year in China, these are tiny, tiny fragments of the market. We can justify a similar valuation that Italicus, established in 2019. The way we think about addressing how we achieve those volume targets and how we present ourselves to the market varies differently by market, right? So in Italy, you've got this wonderful culture of a digestivo. People sip something after dinner, after lunch, and most, I would say 60 or 70% of all digestivos are either an Amaro or a Grappa. Now, we look at Grappa as our, let's say, our focus point, our competitor, so to speak, because if we can sell 0.7% if we can take 0.7% of the Grappa market over 5 years, which is 100,000 bottles of Cadello, which is nothing, we're selling 100,000 bottles of Cadello. We've done, taste tests all over in the north and the south, Sicily, Sardinia, all over Italy. We now have restaurants and bars selling Cadello as an aromatic grappa. When people are ordering a aromatic grappa in a restaurant as a digestivo, people are proactively offering Cadello, and these people become champions of the brand. It then kind of sells itself.
Mm-hmm.
In the UK, it's a very different proposition, right? Because the UK, the taste profiles are different. In China, the same thing. We are actually, this premium version that we're introducing in 2026, which we are finalizing right now, is more like a whiskey, which is more suitable to the Chinese market. Chinese prefer minimum 40%, preferably 44% ABV. Baijiu, as many of you may know, is the most consumed alcohol in China, but whiskey is a growing market, even though, China has plenty of macroeconomic issues. For sure, they've got massive demographic issues. There are still growing subsegments of alcoholic consumption in certain markets. So it's there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of strategy behind it. We have a lot of different marketing campaigns, very localized, very specific, very focused, to address how we're actually going to build the gap from where we are now to where we're trying to get to from a volume perspective.
Right, thanks. And well, we own a distillery business in Denmark, and always talking about the youth drinking less, and the demographic shifts being the long-term risks for the business. But you are not necessarily in the same category, right? More premium, more luxurious, on trade also. And I'm wondering, like, what kind of, so you said they want this great brand with a story and the feeling. What else on trade buyers are looking for?
Well, as you, I'm sure, know with your experience, the whole way that the cocktail culture through the on-trade sector has evolved in the last 10 or 15 years follows very much on the heels of what happened in food, and I would say in the last 20 years, right? There's been a massive change in what chefs are offering to the world, what restaurants are offering, and now what bartenders and mixologists are offering. And so regardless of what city you go into, almost regardless of what country or continent you're in, bartenders now define themselves in their passion, in their career, in their vocation, based on the unique cocktails that they can actually create, right? That is the proposition that every cocktail bar is now offering, is we are offering you cocktails that you can't get anywhere else, right? We are offering you a cocktail. It's no longer, Mai Tais and screwdrivers and, cocktails that people were drinking in the 80s. People have these wonderful cocktail menus that they're rolling out every 6 months, every 12 months. And so what we offer as Cadello is essentially, the way I think about it, is we are offering them a paint that they can't get anywhere else. So if they think about creating a new cocktail menu as a blank canvas, and they're trying to create these flavor combinations that people can only get and experience in their bar, we are giving them a palette, a color to add to their palette that they can't find anywhere else, a flavor combination that doesn't exist in any other product.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thanks.
Sure.
Thank you.
Quick question
Okay.
from my side, if that's okay. Oh,
Yeah,
are we okay
Lena.
already?
Yes, sure. Yeah,
Okay, so
Lena.
first of all, thank you, Matt, for the pitch. Like you already
Sure.
said, there are a lot of alcoholic beverage brands already in the market, right? And like you also said, this is a brand game. So, I mean, as far as I understood, you're more on the premium side. So I was wondering what kind of marketing strategy you have in mind, online, but also offline, to really establish this also as a well-known brand.
Yeah, very good question. There's a lot to that. So I'll address the let's say the on-trade sector first. So we have brand ambassadors in our key markets in the UK and Italy. We have a core distributor in Italy that is then broken down into 5 regions. So across Italy, we have access to about 100 sales reps through our local regional distributors in Italy that are all actively working with Cadello. Our strategy in the UK right now, up until I would say literally September, has been very much London-centric. And I would actually say not just London-centric, but Mayfair-centric. So we're in places like Claridge's, the One Hotel, the Browns Hotel, the Coral Room, the Dorchester Hotel. We have real relationships with these people, which we leverage in a number of different ways. We do, guest shifts, events, which we can then, create a kind of a buzz and excitement around. We build really good relationships with these people so that every time they roll out a new cocktail menu, which typically lasts 12 months, we are continuously listed on their cocktail menu. So we've got a wonderful recurring and growing revenue stream from that. In fact, in a place called the Velvet Bar, which is one of the top bars in London, we were the second highest selling cocktail in their bar for the last 18 months. And they, that one cocktail is now not just on their cocktail menu, but it's a staple on their menu that will last, probably forever, or not forever, but for years to come. On the consumer side, because we're a new brand, because we are creating something that doesn't exist, there is a little bit of an educational process that we have to go through to educate the consumer as to who we are, when to drink it, why to drink it, how to drink it, how it's made. Once we go through that educational process, once we own significant mind share of the consumer, we then own our space in the market, right? In the way that PIMS is PIMS, and no one can tell you exactly what PIMS is Cadello. So once we create those user occasions and that relationship with our target demographic on the consumer side, we then essentially own that quote unquote market, because we don't really have competitors. We're not a brandy, we're not a whiskey, we're not a rum. So what we're doing to execute that is we have very, very focused strategies, right? In Italy right now, on the consumer, we're only in Florence. In the UK, on the consumer side, we're only in London. We've defined very specific, we've kind of ring-fenced specific audiences, and we're in front of them every week with a different perspective, whether it's traditional PR, whether it's through influencer marketing, whether it's through digital ads, boosted social media posts, creating relationships directly with consumers, inviting them to our events. But I would say we've got about 7 or 8 different types of marketing campaigns that we're running in order to make sure that every week we are in front of our ring-fenced audience, so that over time, as we're building brand awareness, we're occupying a certain percentage of the mind share, so that when it comes to those key periods of time where we really need to activate that mind share into purchasing, and when we're at the bottom of the funnel, so to speak, we can prompt them to buy it and build relation. And we do tasting events, and we invite our consumers to the tasting events. I mean, there's a whole lot we're doing, but the idea is to really make sure that, as an example, in Italy, once we get to a certain level of market penetration, certain level of saturation in the market at the consumer level, we then essentially copy and paste that model and go to Bologna, Siena, Rome, Florence, Milan, Venice, Torino. There's 20 or 30 cities in Italy that thankfully are not very competitive, really. I mean, the secondary cities outside of, I would say, Milan and Rome are not getting massive amounts of input from or focus at the consumer level. So we're really genuinely excited about what we're doing and what we're seeing in Italy.
Amazing, makes sense. I mean, for consumer products, in the end, it's really about understanding the customers that you're targeting. And I mean, you have a very specific target group, so it seems like you really understand the customer as well.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, of course.
Very quick.
Yeah, sorry. You say you don't have competitors yet. Like, how can you build the defensibility when the big brands, like whether they're like the big luxury brands or the big liquor brands, when they would jump into the space and they would become your competitor with much bigger marketing budgets?
Well, look, if I said or if I implied that we don't have competitors, my apologies, because obviously that's not true, right? I mean, every product in the world has competitors, and of course we have competitors. I think maybe what I was referring to is that we are creating a niche in the market where we are the only product in that niche, right? So again, going back to the example of PIMS is PIMS, right? And not many people outside of England drink PIMS, but we all kind of conceptually know what it is. During those summer months from May until the end of August in the UK, if you go to any pub anywhere in the country, you'll find people drinking PIMS on ice with a bit of mint and whatever else. and Pimm's kind of owns that niche in the market, and Campari kind of owns its niche as a bitter. I mean, it's really hard to find a place anywhere in the world that's making a Negroni without Campari. So I think what I mean by that is we're trying to create a product that is unique enough so that we don't have any direct comparable products. But of course we have competitors. I mean, we're competing against everybody ultimately, but what we're trying to do is carve out little niches of each market as we enter each market that we can essentially kind of own just by virtue of the brand and the product and the uniqueness of what we're offering.
All right, thank you. And I agree.
Sure.
Like if you find that niche that is like small and niche enough to not be extremely interesting or relevant for the big brands, I think you could build a good position there, and it could definitely be successful.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Matt, for the pitch and for the
Yeah,
feedback.
sorry, I've gone completely over time. Sorry about that.
A little bit, yeah. But I had a little bit of extra time, but okay. Okay, so Jaap and Andréa won't be having time to give the feedback, but I will reach out after the call, and maybe I can get some their feedback by email and forward it too. Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
That'd be fantastic.
Thank you.
Sorry, I do have to apologize. I've got to run. I'm actually on holiday with family in the US right now, so I'm going to have to click off. But thank you all for your time. I really, truly appreciate it, and good luck to everyone in your ventures and pursuits. All the best.
Thank you for joining, and I'll be in
Good
touch.
Thank you guys.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Now we will be moving to pitch number 2, which is TURNIPP with Juan. So Juan, whenever you're ready, you can share your screen and start the pitch. Hello? Juan? Is he on the call? I don't see Juan in the call right now. No. So I'm wondering if Alex is ready from La Leyenda. We could like go. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Let
Okay.
me
Thank you so much.
try to share my screen.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can see your screen.
Yeah, but you can see all the slides, right? I don't know. Let me
Yeah, we have to do full screen.
see how.
I think it's in the bottom in the right. The little square there.
I don't see where.
No.
No.
You go down and right. The bottom.
Can you see the?
Yeah, we can see, but and it's not full screen, but we can see.
Okay, let me. I want to be respectful of your time, so if
Yeah,
you don't mind,
okay.
let's keep it this way. And well, thank you everyone for being here. I'm Alejandro Sanchez from Mexico. I'm the founder of La Leyenda. The full name of the brand is La Leyenda, Los Clásicos Nunca Mueren, which means the legend, classics never die. So La Leyenda, it's a mezcal. It's not the usual mezcal. It's born from a family-owned 800 acres of blue agave in Zacatecas, Mexico. It's cultivated for generations, and this is the land. This land is not just where we grow the agave, but is the foundation of our story. Owning the state means that we have full control of quality from ground up unlike most mezcals in Mexico, they depend on sourcing and from fragmented suppliers. We do not. So this gives us the ability to literally handpick every single agave that goes into production. So we pick only the best ones. Right now, we're only using 1% of the farm to make this spirit. And for me, it's personal. Sorry about that. La Leyenda is about honoring the heritage while building a brand that redefines what luxury in agave spirits can be. So that's me with my team in Mexico at the farm. As you can see, it's red soil, 6,500 feet elevation. And it's like coffee. I don't know if you guys know about it. The quality of coffee, it comes from the highlands. It's the same for agave. If you're in the highlands, you get to have the best quality agaves. And agaves are measured, the quality of the agaves are measured by the sugar levels they have in it. And there's a way to know, and it's called BRIX levels, BRIX, that can go from 0 to 45. And the industry average right now is 25 BRIX levels. Our agaves, the one that we can handpick, are between 40, 42. So the quality is really super high end, let me put it that way. And we only use 3 ingredients: water, the agave, and yeast. And the yeast is living for generations. It's an IP kind of thing of ours. We don't use or outsource the yeast. And that gives us another checkpoint of the quality that we are talking about. We are a lean team. I'm the founder. Tom is on the strategy. Kate, which is here with us, is on the revenue part. And Jennifer is our retail partnerships. So let me. So it's a business worthy of becoming a legend. So this is where the number starts. Agave spirits are booming, and today it's about 12 billion global market, growing 15% annually, 5-1. I mean 1-5. But there's the challenge. Agave takes 7 years to grow. So it's about patience and passion. We don't cut corners. So taking agave, it takes 7 years to mature and only yields about 10 bottles per plant. Supply is slow to scale, and many producers cut corners to keep up, adding sugars, using additives, or sacrificing the quality. We were just hearing that young people are staying away from mass production, and we agree on that. So that's why we're not about. It's about quality, not quantity. So for us, waiting the full 7 years to grow the agave, that's the passion we're talking about. Consumers, however, are moving to the opposite direction. They are trading up, just as they did with cognac and fine wine. They want premium, authentic brands with heritage and scarcity. That's where the Leyenda comes in. We're a luxury brand, and its business is member bottles and non-members bottles. This is the 4. Well, actually, here I have a bottle. This is the bottle. And we have the Blanco, the Reposado, and the Añejo. It's limited production. It's like vintage, it's like fine wine. We only did 9,000 bottles for the first batch, being 6,000 Blanco, 2,000 Reposado, and only 1,000 of Añejo. We also have what we call the Leyenda Tasting Experience Kit. that we sent out. When you buy the membership, you get to buy a tasting experience with me, online tasting experience, where I walk you through how it's made, how to taste it, and you get to buy the añejo bottle. We have partnered with several luxury brands like Lamborghini, Ferrari, Sunseeker, Brunello Cucinelli, David Jorman. This is the kind of partnership that we're doing right now with these other companies to really grow we call it growing the secret, because it's so limited. And yeah, so Kate, I don't know if you want to take it from here.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So as you all notice, something that takes so much passion and patience to grow needs a go-to-market approach that justifies the pricing that we are proposing for the big bottles. They're retailing $300, $400, $500. The little kit is $88 US. That's a tasting experience for two. These are the non-member pricings. So the companies you're noticing on the screen have done their own barrel programs. So we found a way to scale, but also keep the exclusivity. So as Alejandro was saying, one plant makes 10 bottles and one barrel gives 244 bottles, right? So that's how we have been selling. Currently, we have about 400 members in the company. It's a $500 annual membership fee, and they go order online. It's not a subscription. They still have to go to our website and purchase. The next page shows you the unit economics on those. Yeah, that one, thank you. So you will see the landed cost, full transparency, the wholesale pricing, and the retail as well. Remember, the US has a 3-tier distribution system. It's not the same in Europe, so the company can actually be a lot more profitable internationally, and that's why we're excited to present you all the opportunities. So it is a startup meeting. We do have over 300,000 in revenues already and over 300 members already. So the lifetime value of an individual member is about $2,000 annually a year. So they buy 20 bottles, right? That's what we have learned so far in our short existence, the last year and a half or so. So Alejandro is presenting the family and the farm and the product. With that said, this is our first vintage to market, and we have already proven product fit to market. I think we can skip this because everyone on the screen knows this better at the macro level, right? What's going on in agroalimentary and what's happening in the premiumization of mezcals and tequilas, where we are basically standing strong versus the mass marketed celebrity brands. You have probably read the articles, Diageo got sued because Casamigos was not 100% blue agave. It had a lot of other additives, coloring, sugar, flavors, things like that. While our authentic story is the integrity of the company and Alejandro's family, which is the strategy of the go-to-market as well. So,
okay,
let's keep going, Alejandro, yeah?
I think we should. I would suggest to move to the feedback part now.
Yes. Let's go to questions,
Yes.
Q&A. We did raise a small round, friends and family to start. So we're here for basically the next one as a growth round. So we can close it, Alex, and we'll speak to it. Thank you. Hope it made sense.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation. Okay, let's now move to the Q&A, and let's start with Jaap.
Sure. Thanks for the interesting presentation. Because you were talking so much about being from a family business and the long perspective and being patient, I was wondering what is your long-term strategy and how does it fit with let's say typical investors, and what kind of funding approach will you take to make a more long-term approach work?
we exist to celebrate legendary moments. I don't mean to speak for Alejandro, but he wants to make this company legendary. It was born, I will respectfully share the story, Jaap. It was born out of his near-death experience. He spent 8 days in a coma during COVID. And when he opened his eyes Christmas morning and the family thought he was gone, he said, we need to send the spirit to the San Francisco tasting competition. And his wife came back with the double gold, which is the highest award in the industry at a blind tasting competition. So we're all on a mission that's kind of beyond, you know, a typical business model. Our vision is big. We want it to be the world's first luxury sipping mezcal club. That is the vision. And whatever it takes to get there is what we're set out to do here together. It has never been done before this way. So an annual membership, 500 a year, it is actually tied to a 501c, a donation to the farm. Again, back to the village. Alejandro, how many? I think 4,000 people live there. 600 kids' lives depend on us. Can we speak to it a little bit? And we're building a high school for them.
Absolutely. So I believe I don't believe in the so-called American dream. I believe in the Mexican dream, and I believe through education we can bring up these kids to stay in Mexico, so to give them a better quality of life through education. So we give back 50% of the membership to the community to build schools and to help them have better education.
Okay. I think the personal story is really inspiring. So yeah, maybe you can use it even more in the pitch next time.
Well, it's kind of I was going to, but I don't feel like I don't know. It's kind of weird to me, like saying that I was about to die.
Okay.
But it's see, he's so humble, and it's part of the magic of the brand. You know, we started the LinkedIn newsletter. We are close to 1,000 followers now, I think, and we bring Alejandro in to meet the maker, private dinners and tastings where he tells his story, and you know, people are like really emotionally moved, and that's why we say the company has 4 ingredients: agave, yeast, water, and the community and the love that goes into making it. So that's our story, and we're sticking to it.
Clear, thank you.
Thank you. And let's hear Andréa's feedback.
Yeah, first of all, Alex, I'm happy you're here with us to discuss it today. I guess a few questions are both interlinked, which is maybe trying to understand what's the ideal customer for you, what's the typical customer that you're going after, and how does that play with this membership idea, and what motivated the choice of going for the membership, and what does it basically give you?
Okay. May I ask, ladies first? Alex, I'll take 30 seconds. You take 30 seconds. Sounds good. So we are selling inside member-only communities, Andréa. There's private country clubs, golf clubs, business clubs around the world where we are doing our presentations. So we're going to member clubs where a membership is already kind of like a natural fit in the audience. Obviously, it's an affluent customer base. You know, these are for discerning palates, as Alejandro says. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, it's for people who really appreciate finer things in life. I mean, the world is flooded with tequila. There's about maybe 5,000 different brands out there of tequilas just in the US. But the thing is that there's only 160 distilleries in Mexico that can actually make the juice. And that tells you that one distillery can carry up to maybe 250 different brands in the same location. They can mass produce about 120,000 liters every single day. We do not. We are the only brand coming out of our own distillery. We are vertically integrated, so we can really take control of the full process. And that's why it's so exclusive for people that really appreciate finer things in life, that can really appreciate the time that we put in, the process, and the passion of doing this. It takes 7 years just for the plant to grow, 7 years. And for the añejo, it's another 2 years in the barrel. And not only that, our añejo is unique because we finished añejo in French oak, previously used to age cognac. so the taste is a little bit unique and special.
So imagine like a wine club without the subscription, Andréa. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Time's up, but I'd love to take one more question. Are we
Yeah,
allowed? If
let's
the other
do-
person didn't show up.
Let's do one more question, like from whoever wants to go.
Yeah, I have one more question.
Yeah.
How will you secure and protect like the long-term agave supply as you scale, given the crops like 7-year cycle and the fact that you only use like 1% of the farm?
We can scale it for sure. Right now, we want to, like I said before, build the secret and promote the scarcity of it. What we can scale, we're using just 1% by choice. And having 800 acres, we can harvest 100 acres, every vintage, so we don't run out of agave.
The full capacity, Vincent, is 770,000 bottles a year is our full capacity, and it's a $285 million company at cost at that point. That's the maximum we can do with the quality of the blue agave that we have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. Okay, thank you, Alex and Kate, for the presentation. I will gather the feedback from Artem and Lena Marie by email and send it to you after the call. Thank you once again. Okay, and we will now move to pitch number 2, Turnip with Juan Pablo, who has joined. Juan, are you
Yes.
here? Yes, great. Hi. Welcome.
Thank you.
So now, whenever you're ready, you can share your screen, and I will start the.
Amazing. So can everyone see my screen?
Yes. No, not anymore, but I could before. Yeah, I can see it. It's in full screen.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Okay. So
Not in full screen anymore. It was before.
okay, I think the full screen stuff is not working, but I'll just give it a go like this.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you everyone, and good evening. Thank you for taking the time to hear about Turnip. I'm JP. I'm the CEO and founder, and today I'm super excited about showing you the platform and what we're up to, and hopefully changing not just how we eat, but so you can realize how Turnip is changing the world one bite at a time. Turnip is revolutionizing ethical dining by connecting a growing base of conscious diners with sustainable restaurants. And we do this very effortlessly, filling tables and amplifying ethical brands. Let's kick things off with the why. So modern consumers, especially Gen Z. So out of the Gen Zs, 33% of whom they say sustainability influences all of the decisions that they make, especially where they eat and what's on the plate, are demanding more. They want to know their meals are good for the planet. They want to know the people behind the plates, and they want to know like it's really good for the palate. So, but the problem is like the current landscape is falling a little bit short of this. Modern consumers right now are demanding sustainability, but there's no one-stop shop for discovering truly eco-friendly options. There's no personalization, there's no community feel, and the platforms currently out there in the market are not very engaging. Diners are left scrolling through generic apps. They're not really sure if restaurant claims are genuine, and also sustainable venues are struggling to stand out and showcase what they're actually doing. That's where Turnip comes in. We are a complete sustainable ecosystem. We're building a one-stop platform for sustainable restaurants, hotels, and shopping. Restaurants and hotels can showcase their great work in sustainability, from farm to table, sourcing to net zero waste. We provide a verification and traceability index, fostering a sharing community for best practices and driving supply engagement. Supply engagement is one of the biggest problems that the industry is facing at the moment. It's not just an app, it's a big, big movement. So what is TURNIPP? TURNIPP is an ethical platform, ethical dining guide. It's a definite resource for restaurants that really want to prioritize the planet, the people, and sustainable sourcing. We go beyond the ordinary. We connect venues with sustainable diners, and we connect those diners with venues doing things differently, deliciously and sustainably from farm to table. Basically, the conscious choices that these people do are reflected in ethical dining, which is a root of a better dining experience. So every bite will make a difference, and those hungry for change and want a seriously good meal as well. Now, who's behind this? I'm JP Serda, I'm the CEO, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I founded and scaled ventures like Zygo for renewable energy. And basically, I grew it to probably 35 people and eventually got acquired by Schneider Electric. And then now Renewable as well, which democratizes access to renewable energy procurement and does traceability, that currently has a 25 million valuation. So I bring a proven track record of commercial success, positive societal impact. My background focuses on impact and traceability, and I'm strongly committed to building a purpose-led business through design-led innovation. Now, getting into the nitty-gritty of this, TURNIPP, the focus is to give venues the visibility they deserve. So features like farm-to-table transparency, local produce, vegan options, renewable energy use, zero waste, and fair trade ingredients, they help restaurants shine and attract the right customers. But don't just take my word for it. Restaurants are already excited. Currently, we're onboarding our first 7 restaurants on the back of our first outreach about a month ago. TURNIPP speaks to their heart, so showing off all the hard work that they have been doing behind the plate. We've had a lot of conversations with restaurants, and we keep hearing the same thing. There's no platform that showcases the very strong efforts that they've been doing behind the plate and in the sustainability space. In terms of a competitive landscape, we stand out. So platforms like Yelp, TripAdvisor, OpenTable, The Fork, Quando, the Michelin Green Star, they all focus on general bookings or basic reviews. We lead in sustainability and innovation. We're positioned at the top right quadrant, basically high sustainability, high innovation, exactly where the future is. The market is ripe, so we're targeting an underserved ethical consumer, a rapid growing segment of eco-consumer diners seeking sustainable options, but lacking a dedicated, trustworthy platform. Now, let's get into the total addressable market. The TAM is massive. So 8.5 billion in sustainable dining, 1.8 billion in ethical bookings, and 1.1 billion in green fintech. This is totaling 12 billion covering the UK and Europe. And this basically reflects the massive opportunity to capture value across sustainable living, ethical consumerism, and green finance. And that's just a start. So focused on the UK and Europe will be the first step. We have a huge expansion potential to the US, where sustainable dining, ethical shopping, and green fintech, and actually hospitality tech collectively exceed around 300 billion market. How do we monetize? Through diverse revenue streams. So we charge transaction fees. So a percentage of every booking comes to us. We charge subscription fees and advertising as well. Our projections are grounded in ambition. So here you can see our projection. We're raising the pre-seed round. And to fuel this, we're asking for £200,000 in pre-seed funding via SEIS or EIS eligible convertible note. The idea is that we get a convertible note 15% discount, or if it's a price round, is 2 million per month. I think that was well timed. So open to questions.
Perfect, right on time. Okay, let's ask Lena Marie for her feedback.
Yes, happy to start. So thank you for the pitch. Super interesting concept. I think you are building a strong brand here, and your USP is really this sustainability reputation, right? But also, if you're selling based on the sustainability reputation, you have to make sure that the restaurants are really sustainable and fulfill all the criteria. So I was wondering, because I mean, we all know how quick a shitstorm can arise nowadays. How do you really ensure that the restaurants fulfill all the criteria that you set like continuously?
That is a very, very, very good question. And initially, what TURNIPP was focused on was just to basically highlight the eco-friendly restaurants. But then once we started talking to these restaurants, we started seeing that basically their efforts are divided into certain categories. Like basically some of them are strongly focused on farm to table ethical ingredients. Some of them are zero waste. They have a very strong zero waste policy. Some of them try to basically have an electric vehicle fleet. So basically there's a lot of different elements that different restaurants are doing. So one of the slides I was showcasing the different categories, and what we do is basically analyze their supply chains and verify their claims, and then give them a stamp in the categories that they stand out.
And you checked it on a regular basis, probably then?
On a regular basis. And that opens a massive opportunity on basically supply chain, because, for example, my experience is in renewable energy, and there is a lot of traceability and, like carbon traceability and renewable energy certificate traceability. In the restaurant industry, there's no traceability at all in terms of suppliers. So if you're a restaurant and you're trying to do the right thing, and basically you rely on your supplier telling you, oh yeah, this produce come from sustainable sources, there's no way to verify that. So that's where we come in.
No, that's a very good point, because I was also wondering what is kind of the incentive for the restaurants to basically participate, but this is also a nice stamp for them being advertised on your platform then also.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a monetization opportunity by looking at the supply chain and basically dealing with ethical suppliers and promoting ethical suppliers, promoting farmers. One of the big challenges that restaurants have in terms of, I don't know, choosing farmers and local produce is the availability. But if we bring all the farmers together and provide a secondary marketplace where they can actually order and know that their ingredients are traceable to a specific farm, farm, then it just changes the focus.
Amazing, thanks.
All right.
Thank you, Lena, for the feedback. And let's hear from Artem.
Hi, GP. Thanks for the slides and the pitch. I'm wondering, so this due diligence that you do you use any tools for that, or it's mainly you have a team assessing the supply chains? How big of a overhead is? And I'm wondering also, as the platform scales, how manageable is that to keep the quality high standard?
That's a super good question. We are on the pre-seed stage, so we don't have a massive team looking at the claims, but that's an engine that we want to build based on AI and basically data. So I've got a very strong background and experience basically dealing with high volumes and quality of data, and basically validating claims for renewable energy specifically, but that concept can basically be moved to supply chain for restaurants as well. So the idea is to have the largest database of suppliers and traceability in the world. Currently, that doesn't exist at the moment. So basically, every restaurant uses a different supplier, and they don't really know where the produce comes from. So the whole idea is to build this traceability engine and have the strongest database.
Okay, clear. And the second question is, let's imagine TripAdvisor just, I don't know if they do actually, but if they introduce B Corp stamp next to the restaurants that they work with, is it replicable, or there is any more value to it from your platform?
So TripAdvisor, I think, will be a good acquirer because they lack the focused on personalization and traceability at the moment. So it's not something that they are looking to build themselves. So it'll be much easier for them to build a ready-made traceability platform with all the data.
No, I guess the question is really from, is a B Corp stamp really, you know, not the same thing, but, you know, good enough proxy to say, okay, that's really actually...
Absolutely correct. So yeah, we've been compared to the B Corp for restaurant sustainability. Correct.
Okay. Clear.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Artem.
Thank you.
We have time for one more advisor. Who would like to go?
Yeah, if it's okay, I have a question. Can you share a little bit more about the business model? So, for example, the transaction fees and the subscription fees. Have you validated this? Like, what are the fees in general? And have you validated this with the restaurants? Like, what are they willing to pay for this?
Yeah, we have validated this with the restaurants, and we're giving them two options. One is per seated diner fee, so that's about £3 per seated diner, if they book through the platform. The second one is subscription. So basically, like a lot of restaurants don't do bookings; they just have walk-ins. So for them, £50 per month is a fee that they're prepared to pay. The idea is to not have the subscription, like a high subscription or a high fee as a barrier of entry. The idea is to get do the monetization via advertising or do the monetization via supply chain fees as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vincent. Okay, we still have time. So Jaap or Andréa?
Yeah, sure. I was curious because let's say farm to fork kind of data, retail is also interested in this. Have you considered what will be the next step or the broadening of the scope after restaurants?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. So we think restaurants is basically a blank canvas, is a market that has been widely untouched. Then we're moving on to sustainable hotels, and basically hotels have very complex supply chains, and then retail and ethical shopping for sure. It's got a very strong potential to grow, and I've been searching a lot, and there's nothing like this at the moment. But yeah, we're looking at sustainable shopping and commerce as well.
Yeah, that makes sense too. If you have the data, you should.
If you have the data, absolutely. And this is a massive data play because, again, there's no good use of data or even tracking of any data at the moment in the restaurant industry, but that could be replicated in any other industry.
Okay, thank you. Well, let's also ask Andréa for his final question.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for the pitch. I guess my main concern and my main question is how do you, maybe it's been said before, how do you protect against the platforms that you've named as your competitors, basically building those capabilities internally? I understand that there's a pathway to an exit that you've described, but how do you protect it and make it unique enough so that they don't get the will to start creating something similar?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And the answer is by creating an ecosystem with the restaurants and creating a community feel. Most of our competitors don't have that community feel. They are very transactional, and they do the job. They get you bookings, but you don't know who's behind the booking, and they don't really care about your sustainability practices. The database is a very important play because now if we start off gathering all this information and getting the trust and that link between the restaurants and the suppliers is something really difficult to replicate. And as I mentioned before, it'll be much easier to buy a platform like TURNIPP that it's a little bit more personal and a little bit more ethical than try to do it themselves, because they like, for example, I was talking about the Gen Zers. They don't really trust like TripAdvisor to tell them which restaurant is ethical or not.
Clear. Thank you very much.
No worries. Did that answer your question, Andreas?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the feedback, and JP for the pitch. Okay, we have one more presenter tonight, which is Flybox, presented by Larry. So Larry, whenever you are ready, you can share your screen.
Hi, everyone. Good to be here. Just, give me a second to get set up.
Yeah.
Tell me when you can see my screen, hopefully now.
Not yet, but it's coming. Yes, I can see your screen.
Oh, great. I think everyone else had trouble, but lucky. Fourth time lucky. Or not. Oh, God. No, can you see it?
It's not large, also it's not full screen, but
Really?
no. But I mean, I see your tabs
we're one for one. How does that? I mean, as in you can see this over here.
Yeah.
That's very strange.
But it's okay.
It's strange that it would happen with everyone as well. So, anyways, yeah. Hopefully you can see that in enough detail.
It's good.
Is everyone all right with that?
Yes, perfect.
Awesome. Okay. So I'll introduce myself again. My name's Larry Koch, and I'm the CEO of Flybox. And we are trying to deal with organic waste with the power of insects, so insect bioconversion. So right back to the sort of simplest concept, I guess, is the idea of the circle of life. So in nature, you can think of insects and other decomposers as the missing link between, animal life, dead matter, dead plants being upcycled back into matter again. So one of the key players in what we'd call like there's, you wouldn't think of nature as having waste. And really nature's cleanup crew, you could call insects along with other decomposers. So they eat organic matter, they bioconvert it into insect biomass. About a third of the world's animal biomass is actually insects. And so that's a process that returns through their excrement and the undigested stuff after they've eaten into the soil, and then the larvae are then eaten by birds and other omnivores. The flip side of that process, so essentially at Flybox, what we're trying to do is take this natural process and turbocharge it with technology and put it in the hands of the global waste management industry. The global waste management industries are so far as a kind of planet, we are still wasting, by some estimates, about $1 trillion of nutrient value. So that's sort of a third of the retail value of the food off our plates. Not surprisingly, food and agri are a third of global emissions of our impact on Earth, and waste managers are constantly under pressure to do things that are more circular, that are have less emissions as far as CO2 goes, and there are shifting regulatory requirements that are impacting them. Not to mention, there's also the kind of consumer demand and the retailers that they work with also being pressured to adopt more circular practices. When I look at the UK, where I'm from, but you can take the UK and then assume that very similar things are happening in the EU, Australia, and America. We have a landfill ban actually coming. So many regions, their target is 2030, as it turns out. In the UK, it's more aggressive. It's actually March of next year, is a full ban of organics to landfill. In the UK, that's set to double the amount of organic waste requiring treatment. So we have a once in a generation capacity gap where we need to build organic waste treatment infrastructure in order to deal with millions of tons of extra organics. And there are no current solutions that are circular in organic waste. There's no other circular organic waste solution at the moment. So everything in the current waste management arsenal is food comes in one side of the economy, or virgin resources. They go through the economy, and then either by a process of anaerobic digestion or incineration, the majority of our food waste is basically burned in waste to energy. There is composting as well, which makes sense on kind of green waste. Food waste has sometimes been mixed in depending on where the collection and the local authority. But very much when this separation is happening, it's expected that composting will no longer deal with food waste, at least in the UK. And then landfilling is, well, it's the thing that everyone is trying to move away from. So insect waste management sits at a very interesting space where it's a more circular solution, and I can kind of quantify these things later, but it's also profitable depending on the various places you are in the world. So there's not just me saying this, there's a lot of scientific analysis, economics, thermodynamics in various use cases around the world, stacking up these technologies together. Of course, there are subsidy regimes, regulatory issues, depending on the country you're in. But, you know, all things being equal from a thermodynamics point of view, we see it as an inevitable movement in the waste management sector. So Flybox as a company, we sell the hardware and the software to waste management companies or large waste producers to tackle this problem themselves. So rather than thinking of an insect industry that's sort of over here doing insect stuff, we are putting hardware and software into the hands of the waste management industry in a language that they can understand and in a technology set that makes sense on existing waste management sites. It can go from pilot scale, from 150 to 500K, where you're doing about 5 tons a day of organics going in, all the way up to larger commercial farms, about 30 to 40 tons of organic waste going in per day. The different parts of the farm are, you've got to take the organic waste, turn it into a porridge. You need, depending on where you are, some level of automation and robotics to stack all these trays full of insects and waste, put them in a controlled environment, and then destack them and separate the larvae from their residue, their fertilizer. So that's what our technology covers. It's the hardware to do all of this, the software wrapper, so the OS, and we have several patents and IP controlling the environment and the actual the robotics part in the middle. And I can talk about this further, but just the general picture, that's what we sell. We do have a recurring component as well, which is software and support. What we've also done in this industry is created a business model that's as simple as possible for the operator. So previously, the insect industry was trying to build everything under one big roof and do everything. You know, there's a kind of a gold rush mentality, very much like what happened in the aqua industry. In our case, we have the BSF juveniles, we call them seedlings, are sent on subscription to the customers. So they subscribe to juveniles. All they have to do is the waste management bit in the middle, and we've secured buyback agreements both in the UK and in the EU to buy back the end products. So you can think of it from a waste manager's point of view. Before, they understood the logic of it, but they thought, how on earth am I going to pivot into entomology, R&D, selling end products that I don't know anything about? It's just a lot to take on, and consequently a lot of capex as well to deal with every part of the equation. This simplifies it. You can start a lot smaller, so it's turned something that was complex and expensive into something simpler and more accessible. And so that's also part of what we do. It's enabling people to use the tech properly and de-risk their P&L. In terms of the total market size, the way we look at it, there's a lot of money that's spent obviously every year on waste management infrastructure around the world. Of the directly relevant technologies like anaerobic digestion, composting, waste to energy, about 11 billion pounds is spent per year on that kind of infrastructure. Given the trends I mentioned, we believe insect waste management will be a huge part of that, and we want to be one of the first movers in that space. To date, we've done 870,000 in sales of mainly our pilot scale Gen 2 systems to 6 different deployments. We've been backed by Innovate UK to quite a large degree. This number is now 3 million as of a few months ago in grant money. We still have much of that to claim, so we're sort of still claiming quite a lot of grant money every month. And we have a pipeline including some of the biggest waste managers, some of which you might recognize if you're in the industry. And I can talk to that, separate call. How we see it is our sales so far have been of our Gen 2. We're raising money that takes us into our Gen 3. We're about to sign, well, we've already started working on it in phase 1, but the phase 2 of our largest project itself is a $2 million project in Canada to build a fully automated farm. And so one of the farms that I showed you, the larger Gen 3 ones, they are, £5 million per site. So as a business, we really don't need that many customers or operational sites to make a large amounts of revenue. And our sort of model at the moment is to build the business, build a big book of projects, and then look at exiting to a global waste manager in the future. Our team come from, so my background, just briefly, I was in this space since 2014. I was looking, that was what I based my degree on. I actually went to study the first ever insect farm, and picked up a mentor there called Jason, who's on another slide. And since then, also built a software development agency, and then came back to my passion, my environmental science roots. Philip has been an executive at the Europe's largest organic waste manager called Saria. He was responsible for building the biogas, the food waste biogas revolution in the UK, from the first installation with M&S's food waste set up in the UK. He's invested. He's one of the largest angels in our round, and he's also the chair in our company. And Mike, our CTO, and our CEO, Bridget, have worked in the first ever insect farm, and since then have been working in the industry and in climate control. And Tom is a CFO whose background, I met him in corporate finance, and that's his background. And the other advisors I mentioned. And that's my pitch. So I'm very happy to open it up to questions. And yeah.
Thank you very much for the pitch, Larry.
Oh, sorry, I didn't even say the ask. Sorry, we're raising at the moment a £500,000 EIS round. We've already closed 300,000 and received the money. So we've got 200,000 left. We will be doing a Series A round within the next 12 months based on our progress in the last few months since we started this round. So that's also coming. We're already at term sheet level with another VC called Clean Growth Fund. So we're based in the UK that does climate hardware. And so depending on how that discussion goes, we're also basically already teeing up a Series A for within the next 12 months, ideally as soon as possible. And that will go directly into funding our Gen 3. So yeah, that's what the ask is.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. Okay, let's move to the Q&A. Let's start with Andréa this time.
Hey Larry, thanks for the very interesting pitch. I guess my main question would be, what do you foresee would be the main challenges from scaling from pilot to commercial scale, basically?
Do you mean the tech products that we sell, like these two here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Gen 3 requires a lot more automation in the middle. So what we've been doing right now is kind of semi-auto, which is fine up to 5 tons a day. We have the designs, we have the actual space. We're currently in the space where we would build this demonstrator. And we've been doing the value engineering with a company in China and manufacturing in South Africa, as both my CTO and COO actually came out of the first company, which was based in South Africa. And so between those two regions, we've got a compelling bill of materials to build what we think is, the best pound per ton of capex per ton of processing power. But we need to build it, and that's what Gen 3 would be. So we've done a lot of thinking about it over the last 5 years. We're ready to pull the trigger. This project we're doing in Canada, we're already going to be building an element of it. We're going to be building what we call the washer conveyor loop anyway, because it's what the customer wanted. So while we've been negotiating with VCs, we've just basically been throwing R&D into actual projects as a way of getting the customers to fund R&D somewhat. It reduces our margin, but we sort of keep going. And so yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but there's a lot of technical challenges basically to do with that. Ultimately, the tech is off the shelf. So crushers for waste, wet mills, dry mills, mixers, pumps, dosing solutions, dryers, sieves. These are all off the shelf. It's the software that understands what the insects want and how to stitch everything together in one OS. That's the IP. Yeah, but we're not reinventing or like making new hardware as far as all the bits you see over here. Our patent concerns the climate, which is very unique to insects, how to manage the climate. So we're quite confident that we can scale up our climate system to a larger plan. Yeah.
Crystal clear. Thank you.
Okay. No worries.
Thank you, Andrea. And let's hear Lena's feedback.
Yes, so this is a bit more of a technical question. I had a look at the website earlier this day, and I think I read something about optimized insects. Are you using like traditional insects or more genetically modified insects? Because you were just mentioning off the shelf, so I wasn't sure.
Oh yeah, no, the off the shelf, I was just referring to some of the processing tech, like the waste processing and post processing. But it's a good question in terms of what we call the seedlings, like the juvenile larvae. There's several partners that are actually one of them raised $11 million last year just specializing in neonates, so the juvenile larvae. We work with them. They're called Freezem, and they produce their neonates in Germany in a kind of suspension fluid. So they put like 500,000 neonates inside a little dose, if you can imagine, and they can just sit at room temperature for a month. So we suggest our customers work with them, and we take a brokerage out of that. So we don't directly supply that. We could get into that line of business, but it's extra work. And at this stage, we don't want to take on that risk. And they're also a very good source of introductions for us, because in order for them to scale, they need people to build reliable tech. And so there's a kind of mutual benefit there. But some of those companies do selective breeding, which is allowed in the EU and the UK. And in Canada, you have guys doing genetic editing, genetic modification.
Okay, makes
yeah.
sense. And also maybe other question, since you want to expand into different geographies also, how do you ensure that it works under different conditions?
Yeah, and that's really the IP that we get to build by having started with these smaller sites. I mean, climate control's a challenge with insects. They have a lot of metabolism when you're densely stacking them. It's actually the airflow that's the problem, not really controlling the heat and the humidity, which you can control with heat pumps and ACs and the right ventilation. It's like, how do you get it uniformly across up and down the stack, and left to right? And so that's actually what our kind of pattern is in. It's in the system that we developed to do that. And so regardless of whether it's rain or shine, we can go to -20 and +46. Yeah, we've had 5 years now and like 6 deployments, one in Australia, one in Uganda, and 3 in the UK, and 1 in Spain. So that's our current deployment. So it's not all the data we'd like, but I think as that builds, it becomes definitely a kind of moat, like this software data moat that like, oh, you want to work with us because you're in Iceland, we've got a project in Finland, we've got robust data on the climate and also the operation, like how they're making it work over there. So that's kind of one of the benefits of having this pilot level tech first, almost, than just doing one big site and then having one N of one.
Yeah, makes sense. Sounds pretty stable so far.
Thank you, Lena. Okay, let's hear like the last question from one of the advisors, Artem, Jaap, or Vincent. Who would like to go?
I can
Yeah.
I can give it a shot. I have a question about the exit. You mentioned the larger waste operator taking over. I guess I'm wondering if you've thought through about how that operator would be dealing with the biomass distribution, which is big part of the deal. And I believe now you are centrally taking it over to your partners, right? So how would it be organized in the future? Did you think about that?
Do you mean what part of the biomass?
At the end, so basically
the end product, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, gotcha. So currently, right now, we sell that on again to a third party who's connected. He's actually one of the people who used to work for Philip, who has a pet food blending company, and they take the larvae and they blend it with other ingredients into a sustainable pet food formula. So theoretically, that relationship can be transferred over as part of the acquisition. It's a commercial relationship right now. To build that sort of infrastructure to really blend food and build that reputation, we don't think that's the future for the industry. Like, the industry should be producing larvae, producing a larvae mash or a dried larvae, and having that sold to pet food companies that are doing the co-packing, basically, for big brands. Funnily enough, though, Nestle, today I had a call with Nestle and Reconomy, who want to build a insect waste management site on one of their milk powder sachet sites in the UK, to have that go into their pet food. So it's like a closed loop. And we have Nando's that have already at board level okayed a project in South Africa to have all of their food waste go into the larvae into their poultry supplier. So I think these kind of bigger companies, yeah, I mean, each of these relationships are different. Each of them work slightly differently, but I think that's something that an acquirer would, we'd have to have a plan for, but we haven't thought that far ahead, other than it's theoretically.
And you almost might be thinking that maybe not necessarily a waste operator, but one of the bigger food producers taking over and then actually securing the partnership with a waste management firm like GV or something. Which would be maybe more streamlined. Something to think about.
if you look at the acquisitions in this space, it's been Veolia has bought 2 companies, Darling Ingredients, which is like a biogas company, has bought 1 company, an insect operator, and then you've got a big food agri company in Southeast Asia bought the largest at the time insect company in Southeast Asia, and they were exactly like you say, like a food manufacturer, and then they did a partnership.
Yeah, you vertically integrate your your production basically with this piece.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Artem. Okay, this was the final pitch for tonight. So I would like to thank everyone for joining tonight's event. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be sharing the contact details of all the presenters and the advisors, so you can continue the discussions even after the call. And I will also be sharing the recording. So if someone have missed the event, you can still have a chance to look at it. And yes, so thank you for your time, and hope to see you at some of our next events at the Startup Club. We're always available on LinkedIn or on email if you want to reach out, or if you have some feedback for us. So happy to hear. All right, so wish you all a very good night, and yeah, see you soon, I hope.
Thanks for organizing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.